I can't see it. Oh yeah, baby. Yeah, those herbs and the cheese. That's the way it's supposed to be. Now that's
Yes.
a pizza, folks, right there. That is a New York style, real live from New York pizza, and we are real live from Phoenix and New York. Sell a house, wholesale real estate training here, number 141 on a Freedom Friday, July 17th, 2015. And first of all, I want to say to anyone who might be catching up and joining us here today, because yesterday I invited a whole bunch of new people into the circles who got an invitation to this today. So if anybody's out there, all you that are out there, welcome. I hope you get some very good information out of this. What we do here is talk about wholesale real estate, really. Everything from the how-tos to the cause and effect of what is going on with our business and that sort of stuff. Everything in between with that. And I am Paul Romero, and this is John Leister, my business partner here in Phoenix, Arizona with sellahousearizona.com and the Property Noodlers, and which you can become a property noodler, and we're going to talk about some of that. But here's John.
Welcome to the Hangout, everybody. It is Friday, June, is it the 17th?
Yep.
July, not June, geez, July 17th. And as Paul said,
if it was June 17th, you'd be on a long vacation.
Yeah. We're the Sell a House Arizona team, the Property Noodlers. We are a Phoenix-based, right now we're a Phoenix-based business. That's where Paul is coming at you live. I'm coming at you live from New York. Reason I'm able to be in New York and come at you live is because we have this wonderful, amazing thing called internet, which allows us to connect with anybody worldwide. And I bring that up because it also allows us, if you have the proper business system, to work your business system from anywhere in the world at whatever time you want. And that's one of the great things that, I don't know, before I jump wholeheartedly into this topic, I want to give Paul a chance to kind of go with what he wanted to talk about today, but I just want to point out that, right now what we're looking to do with the Property Noodlers is build a team of people who want to learn real estate. So you're coming in on the ground level, you're coming in as grunts. But one of the things that you can learn to do here with what Paul and I are putting out there and showing others to do is achieve the ability to create financial freedom through building a business system, a system that produces a, what's the word I'm looking for, predictable result. And that result that you want to be predictable is a paycheck. You want you to be able to predict your paychecks and have a business that is running, a system that is operational, that's bringing you consistent paychecks. Then you could be having a Phoenix-based business and be running it from New York. If you have the team in place, if you have the systems in place to do so. So I just think that was a good something to bring up on a Freedom Friday as I sit here like out of the Phoenix heat, which it's noon right now for me, about 11:30. It's probably mid-70s right now. It's a little humid. I've got a little bit of a sweat. I'm 10 minutes from the beach, which is my next destination. I'm sitting out here, and for someone from Phoenix, we have desert landscaping, and at this time it's already over 110 degrees, and I'm sitting in this nice yard with these beautiful plants and greenery and clear, beautiful skies. And the reason I'm able to do it is because I've put together, not by myself, mind you, but a system with the wholesale business that allows me to go really on vacation whenever I want and still be able to be part of and maintain and operate the business system. So just want to point out that that's kind of the mission here at Property Noodlers, or the Sell a House Arizona, is to create a business system and help other people to create a business system for themselves that can bring them financial and personal freedom. So welcome to the Hangout. I'm going to throw it back over to you, Paul, because you had brought up some interesting stuff at the end of our last Hangout, and I'm thinking maybe, is that where you're going to take this Hangout? I don't know. It's Freedom Friday. You can take it wherever you want.
That's right. That's right. I mean, yeah, I can take this thing wherever the heck I want. I can take it east, west, north, or south, or I could take it to interest rates, or I could take it to partying on the beach, or I could take it to, wherever we want to go here. So I can take it back to New York-style pizza, but put one of those in a box, dude, and mail it over here. Seriously.
You know what? This is actually from yesterday, but it tastes just as good cold right out of the fridge.
I don't know.
And I wouldn't be able to hold it up over the computer like this if it was hot without all the delicious olive oil and greasy cheese dripping all over the keyboard.
Yeah, exactly. That'd be the end of your computer right there.
Yep.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, you know, it's funny. It's funny that you have that because yesterday, I don't remember the name of it or whatever, but I drove past. I've been craving a pizza. I don't eat pizza all that often because I love it too much and I could eat the heck out of it. But I kind of wait until sort of like my body tells me I need a pizza, and about at least, you know, once a month at least for sure, I get like this overwhelming craving for a pizza, and it'll drive at me. It'll eat at me for like 3, 4, 5, 6 days, and then finally I'll have to break down and get a pizza, and it's just like and it tastes so freaking good when you do that. But yeah, so I mean, and I've had that. I drove by this pizza place yesterday. Seemed like some sort of New York style, looked like a pretty interesting place that might actually have a really good pizza. I'm like, oh man, I'm wanting a pizza so much right now, and I have been thinking about one for about the past 5 days. So it's got to be time for a pizza. And here's a sign. So anyway, here we are, Freedom Friday, New York style, and wholesale real estate. How do we blend all this together? I was thinking, there's definitely, I actually, we've been doing this for 4 years now, right? We started from nothing, a couple construction guys who said, hey, time to get off the pot and start doing something with our life and make a difference in this in our life and in this world. And it was hard. It was difficult. We built from scratch. We learned. We beat our head against the wall. We succeeded. We failed. We failed and succeeded. And we're at a point right now where we have this business up and running and strong and supporting of itself and in a position ready to expand, bring other people on the team, as John was just saying, and get other people involved who can start, as he said, yeah, you're going to start at the ground level, at the grunt level, but depending on who you are and what you want out of this, hey, that might be all you want. You might love the grunt level. That might be you. You might say, man, I can just have fun with this and I can make this kind of money, so I mean, and other people might just be like, boom, this is great, but I want that, I want to learn more. I want to be doing, doing more, participating more in the deals, et cetera, and so on. So it all depends on you, but it's all available. You can start at the bottom, see, and this is the beautiful thing about what we've set up here is you can start at the bottom, but you can see the whole thing right out in front of you. So you can very early on by learning, the basic grunt level part of the program, you will gain the knowledge of pretty much the entire vision of what it all could be and where and how far you want to take it and you want to be in it. And of course, obviously there's room for you here to be able to get to whatever level you want to get to. So that's what we've created here is we've created opportunity, I suppose. We've created something where people can transform their life into something else. And if you want to become a part of that, obviously send an email to theproppertynoodlers@gmail.com. And we will get in touch with you and get you rolling here. And we're looking for, yes, people here in Phoenix, Arizona, because this is where our boots on the ground team is right now. But especially with some of the information I was getting yesterday and some of the information John gave me and some other information that I've seen recently, it's definitely time to get expanding into other cities like ASAP right now, because this is powerful stuff. And if you want to do this in your city, you can. And you can do it through our system. Give us a ring. Be happy to come out there and help you set it up. So anyway, with that, John, comments on that?
Oh, shoot. That's perfect, Paul, right there. I love that. And you know what? I will say, without letting the cat out of the bag here for the world to know exactly what it is that Paul and I are doing with our business, now, because of the niche we have in the market and some and you kind of alluded to what we talked about right before I had left for New York. One of the reasons why I'm excited to be here next week is because there is opportunity right now for a particular niche in the market that Paul and I have uncovered, and it's across the board probably in most cities. Hold on one second. Zoe, I'm working. You can't. Hey, you know what? Take this over. I got to discipline 2 kids.
Yeah.
But you know where I was going with that thought, so expand that.
Right. Is that you actually the niche that we're in, what we are doing is awesome because very few people are doing it, which is what you always want. And we were thinking that there could be a short window of really good opportunity here. And that is true. There is a short window of really good opportunity here. And it's going to shrink down some, but it's not going to shrink down nearly as much as we were thinking in the first place. They're actually going to be, we're kind of at a peak of it right now, and we're going to ride this peak for a little bit, and then we're going to start drop down a little bit, but we were thinking we were going to drop down to here. We're actually going to be dropping down to like here for just a short little time, and then we're going to be coming right back up because we've seen some things here. We've gotten some information here in the very recent past here that has pointed out to us that that big drop off that we were anticipating in just a couple of short years here is not probably going to be, first of all, as big of a drop off as we thought. And then there's evidence, there's signs right now of why there would be a resurgence of this after just a very short period of time of that little bit of a lull as well too. So that's great news for us because we were thinking, hey, we're going to have to keep our eyes out for, hey, when this drops off, obviously we're going to be looking for the next thing that's on the rise. So, you always want to be catching the things that are on the rise that are peaking. But you know what, realistically, that this would never go away. It'll always be a part of our business, but it would diminish down to just a piece where we would actually be, accelerating in a different area. But like I said, with the information that we recently got, it's like, okay, we might tail off just a little bit for a period of time, but then there's evidence showing that there'll be a resurgence and a reacceleration of it right back to the same, if not bigger level than what it is right now. So that's a great little bit of information there. And that's one thing in this business is you always have to be looking for new information. I even yesterday too, hey, 4 years in the business, we're building our own business. We got a team, we got things going on here. Am I opposed to sitting down and watching somebody else's webinar on, wholesale real estate and all of that? Heck no. I spent an hour and a half watching one yesterday, and guess what? Gold nuggets, baby. I pulled out some gold nuggets. You bet. That's what they're good for. You go there, you watch them, you pull out some gold nuggets, you apply something new to your business. Boom, you're doing something awesome there.
Yeah, I want to throw in about that's a good point to make because I've had people recently ask me, I found you on this website, and so-and-so recommended you, and he has webinars and products for sale about wholesale real estate and starting your own real estate business. And the question I've been getting lately from people is it worth it? Hold on one second. Zoe, you can sit on my lap, but you can't cry. You want to say hi to the world? Say hi, everybody. All right, that's my daughter. She's whining in my ear, which you need to stop so I can finish what I'm saying here. But what I was pointing out is that with this question that's been asked is it worth it to buy those webinars? Is it worth it to spend money on educational products? And my answer to those people is always, that depends on you. Really, and that's something we always talk about, great topic for a Freedom Friday, that it really always does come down to the person. And there is gold nuggets in every single webinar or educational product out there. Is it worth the price of admission? I don't know. That's up to you. What are you going to do with the gold nuggets? So you should always be looking to expand your business, expand your education, and always be looking at that sort of a thing, because I'm sure the gold nuggets that Paul picked out, I'm going to hear all about them in a private mastermind, and we're probably going to be incorporating it into our current business model, so to speak, to expand what we're already doing so that we can do even more than what we're already doing.
Yeah, exactly. And so I'm going to go ahead and throw a little bit of information here that we did find out some stuff recently. Well, actually, I just found this stuff out this morning. We are John and I are both involved with the network marketing business as well, too. It has to do with gold and silver. And if that's something that you're interested in, we'd like to talk to you about that too. But that's another subject. This is real estate. But this is information that I got from our network marketing program over there. But this is information that applies to real estate. So that's why I'm bringing it to the world today. So what we have here is what I saw as a gentleman. Great. He's one of the mentors in the education program from the network marketing system. His name is Jim Rickards, and he's an economist basically, or whatever. And he is in tune with what's going on in the world, and especially wrapped around how the effects of how this might affect obviously gold and silver, et cetera, and so on. But what he did was, I don't know if you guys ever heard that this speech went on. I didn't even hear the speech went on because personally I don't freaking watch the news because most of it's a waste of my time. But apparently on May 22nd in Providence, Rhode Island, Janet Yellen, who is the new Ben Bernanke, the chairman of the Fed, the Federal Reserve, that being the people who are in charge of your money and making the dollars that you spend, the printing press, so to speak. But anyway, that she, came out, had a speech on May 22nd. And within this speech, Mr. Rickards has gone and gotten the transcripts of the speech. He's read through it several times. So, obviously, it's like reading a book. You can read a book and you'll get X amount of information out of it, and you can put that book away and you can pick it up 6 months later and read it again. You're going to see and get new information out of it. Well, if you listen to somebody give you a speech, you're going to get certain information out of it. But if you go back and you can read the transcript over and over and over again, you can break that down and you can get all of the information out of it. Okay, that's when the president delivers a speech or when the Fed delivers a speech or whatnot. Each person in this country is going to grab a different little piece out of that speech. You're not going to get the whole thing. So anyway, he went back and studied the speech and what was delivered there. And what it broke down to basically was in that speech, the Fed pretty much gave us their game plan as to rate the interest rates and the raising of interest rates, because everybody's been talking about interest rates raising, and interest rates are going up and all of this stuff, and they're talking about how and when it's going to happen. Well, he broke down that speech and really pretty much pulled out the answer, the playbook, as to what the Fed's looking to do. Because within that speech, basically the Fed said that we can't really raise rates unless we see 2% inflation, 5% unemployment, 2.5% growth. Well, first of all, I just got to throw this in there. I know John would probably want to throw it in there. The 5% unemployment thing, that is probably never attainable in this country again, although they have manipulated the calculating system so that it can be. But that's for a whole nother hangout. But anyway, so 2% inflation, the Fed needs to see 2% inflation, 5% unemployment, and 2.5% growth in order for them to be able to raise the interest rates. Okay, so what the
2%? Let me just clarify that, because I had a few distractions there. But you basically said that in the Yellen speech, which I Googled since we were talking, and I had the transcript, so now I can read it myself. Awesome stuff for pointing this out, as it is so important to understand the impact of Federal Reserve policy on the economics of the United States. And they're the reason behind the last bubble in real estate. Quite frankly, it was low interest rates and open bank lending. But in relation to what you said, so she's saying that in order for them to start raising interest rates, which they plan on doing, we need a 5% unemployment rate, which that's funny as hell, because it's never in history been 5% anywhere in the world, in any country. I bet you since Roman times has any country in the world had an unemployment rate of 5%. 95% of your eligible population working, you have at least 5% of the population are homeless, jobless by choice. And then that's just the most ridiculous thing I ever heard. And then 2% growth in the economy, which to me that's a low number, meaning
2.5% growth at 2% inflation.
The United States has more potential than that. That's being stifled by things that we can talk about in another hangout. But am I getting that right? She said in order to be able to raise interest rates, we need to have 5% and 2.5%.
We need to have 2% inflation, 5% unemployment, and 2.5% growth.
Okay, well, 2 to 3% inflation is what they've been doing since the 70s. So 5%, and you know what's funny? The latest unemployment number that somebody posted on Facebook was in praise of how great the president is 7%. But as Paul said, there's a complete manipulation in the numbers. So I just wondering what they're going to have to do to fool us all that 5% is the actual number. But okay, I just wanted to clarify. So go on.
Yeah, whatever in his report or wherever it came from, they were talking that the interest rates had recently raised, or the unemployment rate had recently raised from, I think it said 4.5 or 5.4 to 4.5, so it was going in the opposite direction. But what he said from there was the fact that in that speech, they also gave the second part of their plan in that the Fed needs to stay ahead of the curve. You know, they need to be ahead of the game just a little bit. So he said that looking at these numbers right here, you can consider this to be the triggers as to when they're going to start raising interest rates, and that would be when inflation reaches 1.8%, when unemployment going downward reaches 5.2%, and when growth going upward reaches 2.2%. So basically, they have to see the 2.5 and the 2.5 in order to be raising rates, but they got to be ahead of the curve. So they need a trigger point as to when to start raising those rates, so they don't miss out on an opportunity to, you know, reap as much as benefit as they can from raising those rates. So the trigger points are really 1.8% inflation, 5.2% unemployment, and 2.2% growth, and that all three, or at least 2 out of 3 of these, need to be trending in the proper direction, you know, towards these numbers in order for them to start raising the rates. And that when they see this, you can probably look for the rates to increase dramatically just over the period of 1 month's time.
Interesting. You know, as I'm listening to you, I'm glancing through the speech transcript to kind of see if there's anything I can pull out to throw in. And I will throw in that in personal experience and conversations with actual human beings, actual real life citizens of the country living and paying bills, I've just pulled out something here because she specifically talks about the costs of household costs in the Northeast and how they've been able to save people so much money because of their policies. I'm laughing because it's a lie. How do you create an economic recovery, a real one, based on bullshit? I mean, I don't know. I'm everything. You know, it's hard for me to take anything that these people tell us, knowing that they're basing these models off of fictitious numbers. What I just pulled out of this speech just to throw in there, and then we're going to tie this all into why this is important to understand if you're going to be doing really anything in this world. She specifically talked about how gasoline prices have helped the average family save $700 annually because of lowered costs in the Northeast of heating your home. Well, my parents just told me this was the most expensive winter that they could remember with the cost of heating their home. And here I am, and they live in the Northeast, and here I am reading a part of this speech how we've saved people $700, and our policies are saving the citizens of the Northeast $700 a year annually in their heating and utility costs. And I just had a conversation yesterday with a real-life U.S. citizen complaining that they spent more this winter in heating costs than ever in history. I don't know. I had to throw that in because, you know, everything is based on these models of lying about the numbers. How are they ever really going to fix anything if they don't tell the truth? So that might have been a diversion, so I'm going to let you continue with the point that you were making.
No, well, not really too much of a diversion, because that's actually kind of where the next sentence goes here. Basically that, you know, but I wanted to say, first of all, that the reason why, obviously, those interest rates, when and if they ever get the chance to raise them, is they are going to shoot up within a month's time, because they might have a very short window with which they can leave these interest rates up. Because realistically, if the interest rates rise, the country's in shit, because we can't afford to pay our own damn bills on ourselves. So that's why they need all this bullshit. And what you're saying right there, they can't give real numbers. If they gave real numbers, this country would collapse overnight and we'd be in freaking riots and everything else tomorrow because the numbers suck. All right. So they can't give real numbers. They can't tell the truth. And the thing is the whole thing that they've built here with the economy and all that stuff, it's all based on, it all happens around, it's all created in people's minds. It's all how people see it and how people think about it. And the news and everything else is telling you what to think. This is how we want you thinking. Okay. So, and that's what, you know, and it gets you thinking the way they want. And so you start believing everything that they want you to believe. And then all of a sudden, oh yeah, the economy is doing great now because that's what they've been pumping into my head for the past year and a half. The economy sucks. But anyway, besides that, going back to this report here, what he said was, you know, that they're, once again, the Fed is talking rate increases, but actually doing nothing, you know, and it's the same old tired freaking story over and over and over again. But what is that doing? You know, because this whole talk of interest rates and everything else, what's the purpose behind talking about raising interest rates if you know you can't freaking do it, right? Why talk about it when you know you can't do it? Why set a goal that you can never achieve in order to do it? Because it spurs on, you know, this, it spurs on in people's mind, this whole faith of that, you know, oh, well, if they're going to be raising the rates, things must be getting better. You know,
let me go out and buy a car today. Let me go out and buy a home today while the interest rates are still low. I mean, I'm in real estate, and I have my mother-in-law, God bless her, telling me how I should jump into making a home purchase before interest rates go up. And I laugh because I'm like, I know the truth of the matter, first of all. And the deals that Paul and I are finding, I can get a house right now cheaper than anybody else is going to ever get a house in the Phoenix market, unless they're doing what Paul and I are doing, which very few people are actually doing. And and the funny thing is how the reality versus what they're saying. And like I just pointed out, that one little piece that I just found out yesterday is bullshit. But how do you convince everybody everything's good? It's like, this is the reality. But because the leaders are saying this and the news is saying this, and they're saying this message drilled in constantly, this message, 80% of the population watches nothing but mainstream media and listen to these politicians and people, and they will literally look at their checkbook, see that the numbers don't make sense, then listen to the speech of their so-called leader telling them the exact opposite of reality, and they ignore their own reality. They believe what they're being told and ignore what their checkbook is actually telling them. It's scary to think about, because really anybody that this hangout appeals to is not going to be thinking like 80% of the population. But that's what we're up against, people. That's where we're getting deals from too, so we have to learn how the 80% think. And quite frankly, throughout recorded history, the majority of society are nothing more than lemmings. And if that offends you, then you should question that and figure out why that offends you, and maybe you'll look in the mirror and realize, holy shit, I'm a lemming too, and I better become a fox or a lion and be a hunter rather than the hunted. Because you know what, average people, we're losing every day, and but there's a way out of this loss, and that's where we're going to be taking the conversation. But just these numbers and this fiction being perpetrated, it starts with the awareness that it's bullshit, and it really, what are they trying to do? The government, the media, the people with money and an agenda that they're selling you, what are they attempting to do? Win your hearts, win your mind. The way you win the heart is you fool the mind to see something that isn't real. You've got to become aware that it all starts with you, and the reason why they're so successful at conning the majority of the public is majority of the public just take in information without question, because that's how we're trained, quite frankly, process it through and believe the cover story. If people were taught to have the ability to think for themselves, think critically, and the power of your success lies with you and not the next president of the United States or the next chairman of the Federal Reserve Board or your ability to get a loan from the bank, but lies within your own mindset, we'd live in a completely different world. I'm a positive person, but I know that's never going to happen. You're talking about a major re-education of the people in the United States to get them to think this way. But you know what? You don't have to convince 80% of the people. You only need to reach 10% of the population, the action takers, the go-getters, the do-gooders, the people that have a heart and want good things for themselves, their families, their friends, and the people of their community and of the world. We only need to reach those 10% of the people anyway. And this is the kind of stuff that I think if you're going to be successful in wholesale real estate, you got to be aware of what's going on out there, and because it starts with awareness, and then you can build yourself. I'm going to toss it back over to you, Paul, kind of finish out your thoughts and expand on that a little.
I'm just going to put out the final sort of analysis that Jim Rickards put on his take from this speech, and what the information that we just presented here is that what he's seeing here is that for the remainder of this year, probably a 95% chance that you're going to hear all the BS of interest rates going up, but you're not going to see it for at least the rest of this year. He said, of course, it's possible that could change, but that's what I'm seeing. You'll hear the bullshit, but you ain't going to see the bullshit. So don't worry about stepping in it.
I love it. You know what, Paul? I think that that kind of, sums it all up there. So why don't you go ahead and give your final thought here and close us out with the Napoleon Hill prayer.
My final thought is, you know what? Use your own being. Don't just take what you're being fed, all right? Maybe you might want to look at it, think about it, analyze it, compare it to some other things that are going on. Maybe make your own decision for a change. And with that, O universe, I ask not for more riches, but for more wisdom with which to make better use of the riches given to me at birth, consisting of the power to control and direct my own mind to whatever end I might desire. Imagine it's funny how that prayer kind of tied into what I just said there. The power to use your own mind. All right, everybody, that's it for today. Thank you, new viewers. Welcome. I hope you will come back and join us again on New Op Day. For those of you who are new, don't know what a New Op Day is, that's the day that most people that know as the one that falls between Sunday and Tuesday, okay? And so that's the first day of the new Strong session. We'll see you back here then, and I hope you get some very good information out of this. And once again, if you saw the information about the Property Noodler team and what we're building here, and you have an interest in real estate, and you want to, or doesn't even have to be an interest in real estate, you just have an interest in making some money, send us an email, and we'll see you back here next Strong session. Bye.